Discovery of the Forgotten. The human exploration vessel New Dawn drifted silently through the void, its hull reflecting the pale light of distant stars. Captain Elena Rodriguez stood on the bridge, her weathered hands clasped behind her back, as she studied the star charts displayed on the main screen. At 42, she had spent half her life exploring the unknown reaches of space. But something about this sector felt different. "Captain, we're picking up unusual energy signatures from the third planet in this system," reported Lieutenant Sarah Kim from her sensor station. "It's faint, but definitely artificial." Alina moved closer to examine the readings. The planet appeared unremarkable at first glance, a green and blue world orbiting a dying orange star. But the energy patterns were unlike anything in their databases. "Any signs of advanced civilization?" "That's the strange part, ma'am. The energy signatures suggest technology, but nothing we classify as advanced. More like organic technology, if that makes sense." Dr. Marcus Chen, the ship's chief xenobiologist, looked up from his research station with interest. Organic technology that could indicate a species that developed along biological rather than mechanical lines. "We should investigate." Elena nodded. "Set course for the planet. Standard first contact protocols." She had learned long ago to approach unknown worlds with equal measures of caution and curiosity. Humanity had made both friends and enemies among the stars, and first impressions often determined which category a new species would fall into. As the New Dawn entered orbit around the planet designated Solus Prime in their charts, the crew gathered more detailed scans. The world was beautiful, covered in vast forests and crystalline cities that seemed to grow from the landscape itself rather than being built upon it. But something was wrong with the readings. "Captain," Dr. Chen called out, his voice tight with concern, "I'm detecting massive solar instability in the system star. If my calculations are correct, this star will begin producing dangerous solar flares within the next 6 months. Any civilization on that planet will face extinction." Elena felt a chill run down her spine. "Are you certain? The stellar decay patterns are unmistakable. This star is in its final death throes. The solar flares will strip away the planet's protective atmosphere and sterilize the surface." Lieutenant Kim interrupted their conversation. "Captain, I'm receiving a transmission from the planet's surface. It's on multiple frequencies broadcast in 17 different languages." "Put it through," Elena ordered. The bridge filled with a harmonious, almost musical voice that seemed to carry the weight of desperate hope to any who might hear this message. "We are the Kithra of Solus Prime. We have sent this plea across the galaxy for many cycles, hoping someone might answer. Our star grows angry, and our world faces the final darkness. We seek only safe passage to a new home for our people. We ask not for charity, but offer our knowledge and friendship in return for salvation." The transmission continued with details about their population, approximately 2 million beings, and their peaceful nature. They had been broadcasting this message for over 20 years, reaching out to every known spacefaring civilization in their sector of the galaxy. Dr. Chen was already accessing the Galactic Communication Archives. His face grew grim as he read. "Captain, they've contacted everyone. The Zentari Empire, the Voss Collective, the Hadiri Trade Federation, even the smaller independent systems. Every single one has either ignored their pleas or explicitly refused to help." "Why would they refuse?" Elena asked, though she suspected she already knew the answer. According to these records, the Kithera are classified as a low-priority species by most galactic powers. They have no advanced weapons, no valuable resources, and no strategic importance. They're plant-like beings who practice extreme pacifism and focus on agriculture and healing arts. Elena stared at the beautiful world spinning below them. 2 million innocent lives condemned to die simply because they weren't deemed valuable enough to save. "Prepare a shuttle. I want to meet these Cathar personally." 2 hours later, Elena and her team descended through Solus Prime's atmosphere. The shuttle touched down in a clearing, surrounded by what appeared to be living buildings. The structures were organic, grown rather than constructed, with walls that pulsed gently and roofs that filtered sunlight like leaves. As they disembarked, the humans were greeted by beings unlike any they had encountered before. The Kithera stood roughly 8 feet tall, with bark-like skin in shades of deep green and brown. Their faces were surprisingly expressive, with large, luminous eyes that held ancient wisdom. They moved with fluid grace, and Elena noticed that flowers bloomed in their footsteps. "Welcome, beings of the distant stars," said the apparent leader, a majestic figure whose bark showed the silver streaks of great age. "I am Thessa, elder of the Grove Council." We had given up hope that anyone would come. Elena stepped forward, removing her helmet to show respect. "I am Captain Elena Rodriguez of the United Earth Space Command vessel New Dawn. We received your message." Thessa's eyes widened with something Elena recognized as wonder. "Earth Command, you are the young species we have heard whispers of, the ones who stand against the darkness between the stars." "We try to do what's right," Elena replied simply. "Tell me about your situation." As they walked through the living city, Thessa explained the Cathars' plight. Their star had been slowly dying for generations, but the final collapse was accelerating. They had reached out to every major civilization, offering their knowledge of biological sciences, their skill in growing food in impossible conditions, and their unique healing abilities. "The Zentari told us we were evolutionary dead ends," Thessa said sadly. "The Voss said we had nothing of value to trade. The Hadiri claimed it would be too expensive to relocate so many beings." One by one, every door closed. Dr. Chen was taking readings with his instruments, his excitement barely contained. "Captain, their biotechnology is incredible. These buildings are alive, filtering air and water, generating their own power from photosynthesis. And look at this." He pointed to a garden where Keitha tended plants that seemed to glow with inner light. Those plants could revolutionize agriculture across the galaxy. "They're producing food in soil that should be barren." Elena nodded, but her attention was focused on the bigger picture. "Thea, how many ships would we need to evacuate your people?" The elder's eyes filled with what might have been tears, though they looked more like morning dew. "You would truly consider helping us. But what could we offer in return? We have no weapons, no rare minerals, no strategic advantage. You have knowledge, culture, and most importantly, you have the right to live," Elena said firmly. "That's enough for us." Their conversation was interrupted by the arrival of another ship, its angular design unmistakably Zentari. The vessel landed nearby, and Elena watched as Commander Jorich emerge. The Zentar were tall, reptilian beings known for their military might and cold pragmatism. Jorich's scales were a dark blue-black, marking him as high-ranking military. "Captain Rodriguez," Jorich said, his translator rendering his hissing speech into clipped formal words. "You will cease this interaction immediately and withdraw from this system." Elena faced the alien commander without flinching. "This is an independent system. Commander, Earth has every right to be here. These creatures have already been evaluated and found wanting by the Galactic Council. Your interference violates established protocols." "What protocols?" Elena demanded. "The ones that say some lives matter less than others." Jorich's cold eyes narrowed. "The protocols that maintain order and stability. These beings serve no purpose in the galactic community. They are a drain on resources, offering nothing of value." Thessa stepped forward, her voice remaining gentle despite the tension. "Commander Jorich, we have offered to share our knowledge freely. Our healing arts could benefit your people. Our agricultural techniques could feed worlds. Primitive biological manipulation," Jorich dismissed. "We have no need for such things." Elena felt her anger rising but kept her voice level. "You're condemning 2 million innocent beings to death because they don't fit your definition of useful. We are maintaining the natural order. The weak perish, the strong survive. This is the way of the universe." "No," Elena said, stepping closer to the towering alien. "This is the way of cowards who are too lazy to help those in need." Joro's hand moved to his sidearm, but Elena didn't back down. Behind her, she heard Dr. Chen quietly activating his communicator to contact the New Dawn. "Your species is young and naive, human, Joricist. You understand nothing of galactic politics. If you interfere here, you will face consequences." "Let me explain something about humans," Elena replied, her voice carrying the weight of steel. "We don't abandon people just because it's inconvenient to help them. We don't write off entire civilizations because they're different from us. And we sure as hell don't back down from bullies." She turned to Thessa, ignoring the Zenturi commander visible fury. "Elder Thessa, if your people are willing, Earth offers you sanctuary. We have a colony world called New Terra that could accommodate your population. It's not much, but it's safe, and it's yours if you want it." Thessa's composure finally broke, and she knelt before Alina, placing one massive hand gently on the human captain's shoulder. "Captain Rodriguez, you have given us something we had lost. Hope. Yes, we accept your offer." Jorix snarled, his translator crackling with the intensity of his anger. "This is not over, human. The Zenter Empire will not forget this insult." "Neither will humanity," Alina replied, watching as the Zenter commander stalked back to his ship. "Neither will we." As Jorik's vessel lifted off, Alina turned back to Thessa. "We need to start evacuation procedures immediately. How quickly can your people be ready to leave?" "We have been prepared for many cycles, Captain. We need only time to gather our seedlings and our most precious memories." Alina looked up at the dying star, then at the living city around them. "Then let's get started. We have a lot of work to do, and not much time to do it." Dr. Chan approached with his final readings. "Captain, we're going to need at least 15 heavy transport ships to evacuate everyone safely. That's more than our entire fleet." Alina smiled grimly. "Then we'll have to be creative. Send a message to Earth Command. Tell them we found something worth fighting for. Humanity stand." The communication from Admiral Sarah Chen reached the New Dawn 3 days later, and Alina could hear both pride and concern in her commanding officer's voice. "Captain Rodriguez, your request for evacuation support has been approved. However, I must inform you that the Zenteri Empire has filed formal complaints with the Galactic Council and is threatening economic sanctions against Earth if we proceed." Alina stood in her ready room, the weight of command heavier than ever. Through her viewport, she could see the construction of temporary habitats on Solus Prime's surface. The Cathera worked alongside her crew with remarkable efficiency, their biological technology meshing seamlessly with human engineering. "Admiral, what's the official position of Earth Command?" "The official position is that Earth does not recognize the authority of other species to determine which civilizations deserve to survive. The unofficial position is that every government official I've spoken to is terrified of starting a war over beings most of the galaxy considers worthless." Alina nodded grimly. She had expected as much, and the evacuation fleet. 15 ships are en route, including the heavy cruiser Defiance under Captain Martinez. ETA is 8 days. "Alina, are you absolutely certain about this? The Zenteri have significant military superiority, and they're not known for making empty threats." "Admiral, I've spent 3 days working alongside the Cathera. They're not just innocent victims waiting to die. These beings have knowledge and abilities that could benefit every world in human space. More importantly, they're good people who deserve a chance to live. I trust your judgment, Captain. Just be careful. The political situation is becoming more complex by the hour." After ending the transmission, Delinda made her way to the planet's surface. The joint human work camps had become a fascinating blend of technologies. Cathera biological constructs provided power and life support, while human machinery handled heavy lifting and transportation. What amazed Elena most was how quickly the two species had learned to work together. She found Dr. Chen in what the Cathera called a knowledge grove, a living library where information was stored in specially modified trees. He was deep in conversation with Thessa and several other Cather scientists. "Captain, you need to see this," Chen said, his excitement barely contained. "The Cather don't just grow food. They've developed techniques for terraforming that could transform barren worlds into gardens, and their medical knowledge, it's incredible. They can regrow lost limbs, cure genetic diseases, even extend lifespans significantly." Thessa's luminous eyes focused on Elena. "Dr. Chen has been helping us understand why other species rejected our offers. It seems our gifts were seen as threats to existing medical and agricultural industries." Elena felt pieces of a larger puzzle clicking into place. The Zenturi don't want you dead because you're worthless. They want you dead because you're too valuable. More specifically, added another Cathera scientist named Veltar, our knowledge could make their expensive synthetic foods and manufactured medicines obsolete. A galaxy, where every world could grow its own abundant food and heal its own sick, would be a galaxy with very different power structures. Before Alina could respond, Lieutenant Kim's voice crackled through her communicator. "Captain, we have incoming ships, multiple vessels, various configurations approaching from different vectors. Alina's blood ran cold, Zenturi negative. Ma'am, the HFY signatures show Voss Collective, Adari Trade Federation, and 3 other major powers. It looks like they're coordinating. Elena cursed under her breath. The Zenturi had called in favors. I'm on my way up. All personnel, prepare for possible hostile contact. As the shuttle lifted off from Solace Prime, Elena's mind raced through possible scenarios. None of them were good. The combined fleets now approaching could easily overwhelm the new dawn and prevent any evacuation. On the bridge, the tactical display showed a grim picture. 7 alien fleets representing most of the major galactic powers had formed a blockade around Solace Prime. The lead ship, a massive Zenturi dreadnought, was broadcasting on all frequencies. Human vessel New Dawn. This is Fleet Commander Yakte of the Zenturi Imperial Navy. You are ordered to withdraw immediately from this system and abandon your unlawful interference with the natural order. Elena took a deep breath and activated the ship's communications. Fleet Commander, this is Captain Elena Rodriguez. We are conducting a humanitarian evacuation of beings facing extinction. We have every legal right to be here. You have no rights here, human. This matter has been decided by the Galactic Council. These creatures are to be left to their fate. The Galactic Council doesn't speak for humanity. Elena replied firmly. We never agreed to abandon people just because it's convenient for your politics. The response came from a different ship. The distinctive angular design of a Voss Collective cruiser. Captain Rodriguez, I am Trade Marshal Corin of the Voss Collective. Your actions threaten the stability of established trade routes and medical supply contracts worth trillions of credits. Cease this activity immediately. Elena looked at her crew, seeing determination in their faces despite the overwhelming odds. So that's what this is really about. You're not worried about galactic stability or natural order. You're worried about losing money. Economic stability maintains peace, replied another voice. This one from a Hadari vessel. Your actions could destabilize entire sectors. Elena thought of Fessa and her people working desperately to preserve what they could of their civilization before the solar flares began. Let me make something clear to all of you. Humanity will not be bullied into abandoning people in need. We don't care about your trade routes or your profit margins. We care about doing what's right. Your righteousness will not protect you from the consequences of this action. Yextai growled. The communication channel filled with static as another voice cut through. This one broadcasting from the edge of the system. This is Captain Maria Martins of the United Earth Cruiser Defiance. Any hostile action against the New Dawn or the evacuation fleet will be considered an act of war against Earth. Elena's heart leaped as she saw 15 human ships dropping out of hyperspace in perfect formation. They were outnumbered but no longer alone. Captain Martinez, good to see you, Elena said, relief evident in her voice. Wouldn't miss it for the world. Elena, besides, orders from the top. Earth stands with those who need standing, with the alien fleets regrouped. Clearly not expecting such a strong human response. Elena used the pause to address them all on an open channel. Representatives of the galaxy's great civilizations, you've made your position clear. You believe the Cathera should die because helping them might inconvenience you. We disagree. Humanity chooses to stand with those who have no one else to stand with them. She paused, looking at the tactical display, showing the beautiful world below. But I want you all to understand something. The Cathera aren't just victims we're saving out of charity. They're brilliant scientists and philosophers, with knowledge that could benefit everyone. You're not just condemning them to death. You're condemning yourselves to ignorance. Dr. Chen had returned to the bridge and was monitoring communications from the surface. Captain Thessid is asking to speak to the alien fleets directly. Elena nodded. Patch her through. Thessa's gentle voice filled the communication channels, reaching every ship in the system. Great ones of the stars, I am Thessa of the Cathera. For 20 cycles we have offered our friendship and knowledge freely to any who would listen. We asked only for the chance to continue existing, to continue learning and growing and sharing what we know. Her voice remained calm, despite the desperate situation. You see us as worthless because we do not make weapons or conquer worlds. But we can show you how to heal the sick, how to grow food on worlds you thought barren, how to extend life and reduce suffering. These gifts we offer freely, asking only for the right to live. There was a long silence on all channels. Then, surprisingly, a new voice joined the conversation. It came from one of the smaller alien vessels, a ship Alina didn't recognize. "This is Captain Tho, of the Miran Republic. My government has reconsidered its position. We would like to offer assistance to the evacuation." Elena felt a surge of hope. One by one, other voices joined in. Smaller powers and independent systems began breaking ranks with the major galactic empires. Yexei's fury was palpable. "Fools, you risk everything for nothing." "No," Elena replied, watching as more ships moved to support the evacuation. "We're risking everything for something. For the principle that every life has value, that every civilization deserves a chance to exist." The next few hours were tense, as ships repositioned and allegiances shifted. In the end, the major powers found themselves increasingly isolated, as smaller civilizations rallied to support the Cathar evacuation. When the first transport ships began lifting off from Solace Prime, carrying their precious cargo of refugees and seedlings, Alina felt tears in her eyes. The evacuation took 6 days, working around the clock as the dying star's instability grew worse. On the final day, as the last transport cleared the planet's atmosphere, the star began its death throes. Massive solar flares erupted, bathing the system in deadly radiation. Solace Prime's atmosphere began to burn away. But by then, it was empty of all life except the plants that had chosen to remain, their final gift to the world that had been their home. Elena stood on the bridge of the new dawn as they prepared to leave the system, watching the beautiful world die in fire and light. Beside her, Thessa observed in silence, her luminous eyes reflecting the cosmic destruction. "Do you regret leaving?" Elena asked softly. "No," Thessa replied. "A world is just soil and water and air. Home is where your people are, where you can grow and learn and share your gifts with others. Thanks to humanity, we have a new home among the stars." 6 months later, Delina stood in the new Terra Colony Central Plaza, watching human children play alongside young Cathar in gardens that seemed to grow more beautiful each day. The integration had been smoother than anyone dared hope. Human technology and Cathara biological mastery complemented each other perfectly. Dr. Chen approached with his latest reports. "The agricultural yields are up 300% across all human colonies, using Kera techniques. The medical breakthroughs are even more impressive. We've eliminated 12 major diseases and extended human lifespan by an average of 30 years. Elena nodded, satisfied. "Any word from the Zenter Empire?" "Actually, yes. They've quietly approached the Cathara through intermediaries, asking if they might be willing to share some of their healing knowledge. Seems the Emperor's personal physician is very interested in life extension techniques." Delina laughed. "I suppose even galactic empires eventually realize that ideology doesn't cure old age." As the sun set over New Terra, painting the sky in brilliant colors that seemed to respond to the Cathara's presence, Elena reflected on what they had accomplished. They hadn't just saved a species from extinction. They had proven that doing the right thing, even when it seemed impossible, could change the galaxy itself. The Cathara had found new homes on dozens of worlds now, sharing their gifts freely with any civilization willing to accept them. The major galactic powers had grudgingly accepted the new reality, though suspected they were secretly relieved to have access to Cathara knowledge. But more importantly, smaller civilizations had learned that they didn't have to accept the judgment of the powerful. The galaxy was a little more just, a little more compassionate, because someone had decided that every life mattered. Delina smiled as she watched Thessa teaching a group of human botanists how to coax flowers from barren soil. Sometimes the most important stands weren't about military might or economic power. Sometimes they were simply about refusing to let good people face the dark alone. In the distance, the first stars were appearing in the darkening sky, each one a reminder of the vast universe still waiting to be explored. Elena knew that somewhere out there, other forgotten civilizations were calling for help, wondering if anyone would answer. She hoped they were ready to find out what humanity was really made in.